I believe if you look, you may find that what Custard was actually doing for me was trying to take down Buffalo, and that there may have actually been a friendly competition between Custard and the Indians in who could take down a buffalo faster. Um, Back then, that's what was going on. I believe I had Custard trying out some new military weaponry, and in fact even inventing some stuff, and basically going. It was a research project with me, and we were, I had helped the Indians take down the first buffalo, and me and them had researched, and we had come up with some spears and some bows. Actually, I think it was bows, and then we came up with spears, and then we were researching and working together. And then after that, I was working with, I believe, Colonel Mustard or Colonel Custard or whatever his name is. That Colonel, that was supposedly killing Indians or whatever. Um, what I believe I had him doing, like I said, is the same thing I had the Indians doing. He was trying to take down a buffalo, only without riding out there to the buffalo. He was using a weapon. And not filling it full of holes, because that ruins the hides. One shot, one kill, basically, is what he was trying to do with the buffalo. Although we could take down whole plains of buffalo, and they did, unfortunately. I did let a Gatling loose, and they did literally devastate the whole herd of a buffalo, which was, they called it meat grinding, but and I told them no, they couldn't do that. Well, it ruins the hides, and we needed the hides of the buffalo for what's called, and not what's called, and not for leather. So it kind of ruined the value. You just got the buffalo for the meat if you did that, and that was bad. And I put restrictions on that. So they had to start doing sharpshooting, and also the first cannon that could actually shoot a fair distance to hit a buffalo without spooking them. And more of a hunting, a real sporting man's kind of thing. Of hunting the buffalo, and only the big ones, because those are the best ones for leather. It was basically just, other groups pinned their animals in, but buffalo didn't like to be pinned in, and I think I might have even protected them a little bit as far as like having them run free. The Indians were much better at herdsmen. They just let the buffalo basically run wild, and then they would go and hunt them and get them. And the Indians were much better at hunting buffalo than the American army people. But they quickly got very good at being able to sharpshoot them and be able to even take them out at a couple 100 feet away. Which, in a way, I thought it was a little more humane, because a buffalo never saw the bullet coming. It just was suddenly dead. And I don't know, like I say, a lot of things that I had humans doing, I didn't exactly take pleasure in having them do. It upset me that one animal, a human, was going to be killing another animal, a buffalo. And some people looked at me kind of strangely for that, but I think the Indians understood it, because they had, I don't know. Anyway, though, but that's what Colonel Mustard or Colonel Custard or whatever his name was, the person that I had doing, that's what he was doing, is he was doing research as far as like taking out a buffalo at a fair distance. And if he was a good military man, which he should have been, he was not actually hunting Indians. He was hunting buffalo. Maybe that's why they called him, or later on, Buffalo Bill or whatever. Anyway, quite a few generations actually did it for me, basically tending to my buffalo or my herds, that were in American plains. But we also had cows and other stuff like that, and I think they might have even penned in some buffalo, which might have been bred into cows. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure exactly how that works out, or exactly which species they are, really. But it kind of loses itself in time and space or whatever. Anyway, though, but that's what was going on there with that. So I never had him rounding up Indians. That was not what he would have been doing. He would have been doing weapons research and working with my team as far as developing a weapon that could shoot a projectile up to a mile and take out a buffalo. And that's all he would be doing. So Anyway, um, if anything, there might have been a problem because the Indians couldn't hunt on the same level that the American army could, and were taking out too many buffalo, which could have been causing a hunger problem or whatever. But the Indians had fish and all kinds of other stuff, so I don't know. It's relative, and realistically, it's basically me letting one group take over where another group was doing it, and the Indians could relax or do whatever. Which they did. They made arts and crafts and did. And the Indians actually had mines and everything else. The Indian civilization was a civilization. It was really you could call it the Mayan civilization transferred into the Indian civilization or whatever. I mean, it's all relative when you speak on something at my level. So, or at least what I was doing, which was basically heading up research and development of everything, basically, and paying for everything and helping out with everything. I gave the Indians, well, they basically made their own. I think I'd worked with them to make the first bone knives, and also what's called hard rock spears or whatever, and also that glass stuff or whatever. Um, that's really sharp. Um, yeah, I worked with them to develop that and invent that, and then after that, later on when I was doing metal and metallurgy, I had a fair amount of spearheads and other metal knives given to them as well to commemorate what they had done and their great service that they had performed to their own civilization as well as the American civilization. So to kind of like be like, thank you so much for doing all your hard work, because they had done a lot of tanning hides and they had made a lot of shoes and everything else, and they'd even shared a lot of their stuff, or sold their stuff, or traded their stuff to other civilizations, and anyway, so I was giving something back to them so they could help out with their survival. Anyway, when you get to, like I say, my level that I worked, when I was doing it, everything was working just fine. Everybody was cool. It was, there was no, back in history, as far as I know, when I was doing it, when I was back then, there was no disagreements, there was no problems. Everybody understood. Everybody was just all like, together. They were just different groups, and I'd help this group, fund that group, and then move on to this next group or another group, and I was just going through, creating civilization. And they were all living good lives and doing their thing, basically. So, anyway, and I was helping out as best as I could. So, anyway, and later on, I was like, all right, well, I've invented a lot. I think I'm going to make a nice little nest egg for me and make some money for myself. So, and I did create a couple companies that were just going to be mine, so. I even put a little metal storage off to the side for myself so I could have something later on. And they were keeping it. I guess it's in all the museums, all the old museum pieces. Those are all mine, basically. Anyway,